Welcome to Move, Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Move. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm so glad that you're here. Metabolic optimization via exercise. And right now, I've been waiting inside for it to ease up on the raining. And I caught a little bit of a break, but it looks like it's starting to come back down again. But here we are, right? And actually, this is a good time to have this go. Oh, look at that rainbow right behind me. You see that? Look at that. Oh, great. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Right there. Man, isn't that cool? Looks like it's coming out of my head. So let's do that. I'm going to move it around a little bit. And right, oh my goodness, look at that. You guys see that? So I've been sitting inside kind of waiting for us to, for me to be able to come out, and my glasses are wet, but that's okay. And so what I want to talk about today is, one step at a time, right? This concept of one step at a time. We've now spent several episodes talking and walking and spending time together. And in the last conversation we talked about is this idea of starting a journey one step at a time. And whatever journeys that we go on, that's really how we do it, right? And there is power simply in showing up. Now, this is a great time to have that discussion, right? Because I was tempted to say, you know what? I am going to just keep plowing along here in the office and do some things, and maybe I'll do my walking later on. But the last rays of the sun are still peeping out. Yeah, it's drizzling a little bit, but showing up and taking the first step is really what consistency is all about. It doesn't mean that I've got to do the same thing and be in the same space just all the time, but it just means that I've got to be here, and I've got to be willing to show up whatever I have, and in whatever form I am. The Limitless Living Health Action Plan, or the Limitless Living concept, is that I'm showing up with my best self, my best health, and my best plan. So it doesn't mean that I've got to be perfect. It just means that I have to be there. So how do we show up? Or let me say it a little differently. So showing up with whatever you have, even when it's almost too late. Like right now, there's really not a whole lot of people around me. It's quiet. The office is quiet, and the hospital's probably going to get busy as people are getting home and they're finding out they need to come out and see somebody. So the ER is probably going to be busy, but the rest of the place is quiet. And sometimes we think that it's too late for us to show up. Like right now, so the sun is peaking, right? So it's making its last push to get those last rays out, and then it's starting to go down. The rain has eased up, but it's late in the day. And sometimes we think that because it's late in the day, that we don't have to show up. And that translates a lot of times into our lives as well. Because we think we're too old, we're too set in our ways, we're too far gone, we've had too many complications, we've had and we've had, it's too late. Oh man, look at that. That sun is just beaming now. So I'm gonna turn a little bit so you guys get so there it is right there, okay? So as it's going down over there on the horizon, we still have a lot. We still have a lot of time. Look at that. Oh yeah, beautiful. I'm gonna turn this way so you can see. Okay, you see that? See the golden rays are kind of coming down at me. So all the rain that was just there, and even the drizzling that started as we were coming out, no longer there, no longer there. And so the sun is almost gone, but here I am, and here you are, and you've shown up for another time because you realize that it's not too late, that there's never a wrong time to start because the time to start is where you are. You got that? The time to start is where you are. We sometimes convince ourselves that we've got to have things perfectly aligned and perfectly tied to whatever, right? We got to have the right equipment, have to have the right shoes, we've got to have the right this, the right that, and we don't really have to do that. I'm going to make one change here. Well, hopefully you guys can still hear me. That's okay. I see my, yeah, so we'll leave that alone for now. Sometimes the most important steps are the ones that you almost didn't take. Going back to when I first started this channel, there's a video I have that's on my computer that I almost deleted, but I've been saving it, and every now and then I'll go back and watch it because it's a video of me doing some things, some silly things, because my son at the time needed to do a video. And so I was helping him out, and when I had the camera up, I was like, oh, let me try this. And so I made a little silly video. It's probably about 2 minutes, if that long. And I sat and I watched that video, and I watched it, and I watched it, and I watched it. And I had this idea of doing videos and doing some things to help my patients. And I really wanted to, at the time, provide a journey, a script, if you will, for people who were like me, that didn't think there was a space for them or think that their story was important. And in fact, I didn't want to tell my story. So for a long time, the idea was, I was going to do something else, but I wanted to do something. And I had that video and I watched it, and finally I decided that I was going to go out, and I bought a camera, I got some lights, and I started playing around with it. And if you go back and watch some of our very first videos, and you'll see. And those were the videos that came out of me saying, okay, I'm gonna do this. And those videos almost didn't happen. In fact, this channel almost didn't happen because of me thinking in a way that wasn't supportive of what I wanted to do, right? So that inner coach. So sometimes the benefit we get is from the step we almost didn't take. I want you to think about some of the most fascinating things that have happened to you. Now, we've all had trauma, we've all had difficulties, we've all had things that didn't go quite our way, but I'm not talking about those, right? Because we can find those. We can easily think of those. We can come up with those without a drop of a dime, at the drop of a dime, I guess I should say. But what I want you to think of is I want you to think of some of the amazing things that you've had happen to you. Some of the amazing places you've been, amazing people you've met, amazing sights you've seen. And I want you to think about the ones where you almost didn't do it. You almost didn't go. You almost didn't apply for the job. You almost didn't talk to that person. You almost didn't go on a trip. You almost didn't say it. You almost didn't taste it. You almost didn't do it. And right now, some of the stories that you're telling yourself and some of the stories that you share and some of the places that you spend time thinking about come from those things, come from those same places where almost didn't happen, where almost kept you from doing it. So the power of that step, the power of the almost step is incredible. You've heard me say that sometimes people will stop before they get to their breakthrough. They stop one step before they get to the breakthrough. You've heard me say that often people are looking for the 80% or the 20% and they're missing the 80% that's in front of them. That's this idea right here that sure, there are 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't take the first step. I can come up with some right now. And I don't even know your situation. I can come up with fear, doubt, lack of training, lack of resources, lack of money, lack of support, lack of community. And I don't even know your situation. I can come up with 100 right now, right? Without even thinking about who your specific or what your specific thing is. But the almost step, y'all, that thing right there, oh, do you know the power that comes from taking the almost step? Oh, I mean, look at that. Right here, right? That comment I just made, that comment in my head is just spurring so many correlations and connections. Right? I'm gonna have to go back and take this video and use that, right? Because that is a series that we can talk about, the almost step. So the almost step, right? The almost step gives you power. It gives you, it puts you in awe to think that I almost didn't do that. I almost didn't see that. I almost didn't realize that. I almost didn't get the benefit. I almost didn't. One of the most powerful things for me was where I went to school. And I went to, you guys know, you heard me say before, I went to Oakwood University, back then, Oakwood College. And I almost didn't go. That's right, I almost went somewhere else. The almost step. I almost didn't push through my medical school career. I almost gave up. The almost step. I almost didn't start the channel. I almost didn't persist in my weight loss. I almost didn't tell my story about my metabolic struggles. I almost didn't start my practice the way it is right now. So that almost step, y'all, man. And what's your almost step? What's the thing right now? You're right on the other side of it. Not like 10 steps away. You're not 100 steps away. You're right there. And there's that one more step. There's that one more thing that is the almost step. Is the one thing right now that's keeping you from realizing your potential. Is the one thing that's keeping you from realizing the joy that can be yours. That almost step. You're right there. You're right. It's a razor blade thin. It's a paper thin place to be. Because the thought, the action, the movement is not far, it's not long, it's not deep, it's not big. It's an almost. Right? So I'm standing here. I just took my almost step. I went to, right? So I'm here. I just took another almost step. And another almost step. And another almost step. And another almost step. Woo. See, this thing's getting good, right? So it's your health. it's your relationship, it's your business, it's your finances, it's your spirituality, it's your whatever it is. The almost step prevents us often from moving and getting to the place where we want to be. And so we're no longer allowing almost steps to be the thing. Now, let me jump in and say, now, the almost step doesn't mean that when you get to the other side that you don't have to do some work. But the almost step shouldn't be. Now, if you get over there and things don't work out, guess what? It didn't work out. I do something else. But I'm not letting the almost step stop me. I'm not letting that stop me. I'll let, well, I wouldn't say I'll let something else, but I'm not even going to give you a list of things to let stop you, right? There are other things that will stop me, or other things that can stop me, but it's not going to be my not taking the almost step. Of all the things that can get in my way, I'm not going to let that be the one, right? Because that right there, that's me allowing, my perceived whatever prevent me from doing it. Now, if I get over there and it doesn't work out, if I get over there and I decide I'm pivoting, if I get over there and I decide that, hey, I'm going in a different way, or my family decides something else, that's a whole nother conversation. But guess what? Not almost, but I did it. Yeah. And I can be in the list of people who did it because I didn't let the almost stop me. So we're optimizing our metabolism, and we're not letting the almost stop us from doing that, okay? So there's power in showing up. Number 2, it's never too late, right? It's not late. Right now, the sun is going down. And look at that. We've been walking, we've been talking. I thought the sun would be gone, but there it is, right? We got a chance to see that rainbow. It's not too late. And we didn't let the almost step stop us from doing what we need to do, right? So the almost step, that's not going to be the thing. And then I want to talk to you about why showing up changes things. One of the people I follow online does an amazing thing sometimes. I shouldn't say something, he does it quite often. He talks about the value of showing up, the value of being there. And I love online, I love watching, I love consuming, but there's a power of being there. Now, there's a power of being here. There's a power of being at your job, in your family. There's a power of being in the spaces where you are, but there's power in showing up. There's power and there is excitement in being in the space. Now, whatever space you're in, whatever space you are trying to get into, whatever space you're trying to be in, whatever spaces are around you that you almost are not stepping into, there's virtue in being there. Just to say that I experienced it. Now, everything that you ever do in your life is not going to be the thing you intended. And in fact, all of it is not going to be stuff that you wished or dreamed or envisioned or even want. And I can think of some things right now that have happened to me in my life that are now so integrally ingrained in me that they've shaped my concepts and my thoughts about things that have been good. But the experience that got me in that thought process and the experience that gave me this concept, whatever it is, I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a good thing. It was not a fun thing. It was not a, if I could go back, there are oftentimes I think I would erase certain experiences. But the power of showing up today comes from the experiences from back then. And I show up today in my life, partially because I can't let those experiences win. I can't let them be for nothing. I can't let them be the things that shape the rest of my life. They shape who I am. They shape how I think. But they are not my ultimate destiny. And so my showing up right now allows me to live a limitless life. And in order for me to live a limitless life, I've got to show up. And pause, I want you to get that. In order for me to really live the life I've always wanted, and you hear me say that if you've been following me, in order to go to the next level, I have to show up in my life. And there's power in showing up. There's power in showing up in pain. There's power in showing up in frustration. There's power in showing up in depression, anxiety, in fear. There's power in showing up. Because when you show up, that's sometimes an almost step. When you show up, there is possibility of change. When you show up, there is the possibility of growth. When you show up, there's the possibility that this is going to be your breakthrough. But if you don't show up, if you're not there, if you're not in your life, then there is a drag that happens, that continues to pull at you, that continues to vie for all of your energies. Because when you don't show up, everything in you says, I am not worth it. When you don't show up, your brain begins to say, well, if we're not showing up, then there's no point in that, and there's no point in other things. And it begins to infect so many other areas of our lives. We've talked about the domains of health before. And we talk about the domains as though they are isolated from each other, that each one is separate, that we can deal with one and not deal with the other, but they overlap. They are integrally entwined with each other. And so when we don't show up, what begins happening is the domino effect. And so our self-esteem, our mindset, our energy begins to wane. We can't sleep, right? We can't rest because we're unsettled. We can't rest, and now we're tired. We're tired, so now in our lives, in our work, in our community, in our families, we show up without energy, without vitality. That begins to affect our work, begins to affect our relationships, and now it continues to affect our mindset. And the mindset, once the mindset is affected, then the lenses through which we see the world get cloudy. And it cycles again. And it compounds and compounds and compounds. And then we find ourselves in a position where the hole that we're now trying to dig out of is so deep that it seems like we can't do anything. So, what does that all mean? What it all means is that first step is not about reaching my goal. The first step is not about ultimate success. The first step is not about me arriving. That first step, that almost step, the step that we think is too late, is the very step that we need to move. Is the very step that we need to move our thoughts, move our bodies, move our emotions, and move our lives. So metabolic optimization via exercise. As we walk, as we talk, we are moving not just our bodies. We're trying to get healthy. We are improving our insulin resistance. We are losing weight. Our blood sugars are going down. Our blood pressure is getting better. Our fatty liver is improving. We're moving. We're working on the physiology. We're working on the emotions. So we're out in the fresh air. We get to see trees and hear the birds sing. We get to see people around us. We get to connect with the environment. We get to see a rainbow. So our thoughts are better. But we're also moving our lives. And when we move our bodies, when we move our thoughts, and we move our lives, then we increase the chances and the possibility that we're having long, healthy life. And that ultimately is our goal. Hey, I'm so glad that you're here with me for another episode of Metabolic Optimization via Exercise. We'll see you in our next episode. Remember that first step, you gotta take it. You're not too late. And don't let the almost step stop you. We'll see you next time. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. Bye-bye. Thank you for being a part of Move Today. Remember, transformation isn't built in hype. It's built in consistent steps. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Keep showing up, keep stacking your wins, and keep moving forward with us. This is Move.